What's up, guys? Welcome to Your Mind On Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. I'm your host, Mitchell, and with me is.
Chris Mendez.
Just careful for spoilers, because we are just going all out spoilers right now. I guess we'll start with the plot. So, basically, Jack Sparrow's back to his normal doings, and this time he finds a young woman and Will Turner and Elizabeth Swan's son, and they go on an adventure to find Poseidon's trident. And Poseidon's trident has a special ability to remove all curses that are out there. So basically, every curse that can range from Will Turner's Davy Jones curse, basically, to the villain, the Salsavar's curse. So the whole movie is Jack basically trying to find this trident, while everyone else is trying to get the Jack for their own revenge reasons. Basically, Jack gets the trident at the end of the movie, and they break the trident to release all the curses, and everyone lives happily ever after. And that is basically the Pirates 5 plot in a nutshell.
Essentially.
It wasn't too complicated. What'd you think, Chris?
All right, my general thoughts on the movie is granted that this is the alleged last installment of the franchise.
Oh, but you know it's not.
Of course, it's not. Allegedly, it is. It's been promoted as the last installment of the Pirates franchise. I have to say it was a little bit underwhelming and in some regards disappointing.
Really?
Not to say that it was a bad movie. I did enjoy certain moments, but generally speaking, I felt that me personally, it took too much away from Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides from what I remember. Granted, it has been a while since I've seen that movie, but I remember very much disliking that movie, and I found myself feeling the same way about a lot of instances in this movie as I did in the last one. Again, that's not to say that I didn't enjoy it. I disliked all of it. I very much liked all of the new characters that they introduced. Like you mentioned, Will Turner's son. I liked the new female lead in the show. I'm in the movie, sorry. Karina Smith, I believe was her name. Who, actually, I'm going to leave the rest of that for later in the video. But yeah, so there were moments that I did enjoy, but generally speaking, I do feel like it was a bit underwhelming and it didn't really live up to its predecessors, Pirates 1, 2, and 3.
I would have to disagree with you on that. I thought this movie was was actually great. I I mean, granted, like for a Pirates movie, that is. I went in there and I wanted a Pirates movie, and I left there and I got the Pirates movie that I wanted. It had the quirky, like Jack was back to his quirky self. It was like everything I could have asked for. It was almost, I found it was like a reincarnation of the first movie. It's basically what I found what Star Wars Episode 7 did to Star Wars Episode 4 was what Pirates 5 did for like to Pirates 1, basically.
Really?
That's how I see it. Like, I don't know. I really liked it. Like I had a blast the whole movie. Like I was there. It was great. So
Okay, well, I mean, if we're gonna when we discuss the pros and cons, I mean, there are definitely you can definitely argue both sides of the debate. Um,
yeah, what didn't you like?
yeah, well, let's start with the cons. What I didn't like about the movie. Again, like you said, they did bring back that witty Jack that everyone remembers. I think that we can all agree that Jack Sparrow is Jack Sparrow, but
Jack Sparrow.
I don't I don't know if it's just because this is the fifth movie, kind of like how Wolverine's like Hugh Jackman's played Wolverine for like 9 times now. We've seen this is the fifth time we've seen Jack Sparrow, and I don't know if I just feel like that role is just getting outplayed, but not outplayed, but like we've just it's over. Like we've seen it too many times, like a song you hear too many times on the radio, and so every time there was like that witty comedic moment where Jack is like running through a city that's being demolished, or he's accidentally winning fights against the redcoats, or he's narrowly escaping deadly situations like he's not even aware of it. Like all these witty things that make him what he is. I felt like they played it out for too long in the movie to the point where it loses its charm. Like you're watching it and you're like, oh, okay, that's funny, but it's still happening. It's still happening. Okay. Let's move on. Let's get on to the plot, the real point of the story. So I felt like that dragged on for way too long at the beginning. I also felt like, in that same regard, I'm kind of tired of his crew, like the recurring members that you see in all of the
Oh,
movies.
what?
I'm kind of getting tired of them too. Like in this movie, they had almost no significance as opposed to, say, the first three movies where they were really prevalent. I felt like they were just somehow shoehorned into this movie, which makes no sense because they're they're prime characters in the movie, and yet somehow I was watching and I feel like they're being forced into these like short snippets in the movie just to say, oh, these are the characters that you remember and love. But it's gotten to the point now where even their roles in the movie seem to be irrelevant at times. And I think the last thing I would say that really bothered me was the climax of the movie. The climax of the movie was so anticlimactic. Like that whole sequence, the action sequence and the event that was happening with the tridents, it just wasn't. I just found that it wasn't exciting, and um, at the end, when all of the ghost crew become human, you think, oh, this is gonna develop a new element to the scene, but it doesn't, because as soon as they become human, they're put in a situation where they literally all die a minute after, and it just seemed like an unnecessary like transition then. So those are my problems with the movie. I felt like it just dragged on too long with the wittiness and the comedic relief. The ending was anticlimactic. What I did very much like about the movie, I loved all the new characters they brought. I loved, I believe his name was Henry Turner.
Yeah, Henry.
I loved Henry Turner. I loved Karina Smith, who you later find out is actually Karina Barbosa, daughter of Captain Barbosa. I loved her too. Um, I loved Captain Salivar, however you pronounce his name. Every moment he was in the movie, like every one-on-one encounter he had with the characters, I loved it, and I was totally engaged. His scene, that short scene he had where he meets Barbosa for the first time, and they make the accord. I love that scene because it showed really how like terrifying and menacing this villain really is. I loved the opening sequence that we saw from the first trailer. Absolutely loved that scene. Like every scene where it was character on character performance, I thought was fantastic. The only thing about the characters that I didn't enjoy was I felt like the love, like the romance between Henry and Karina was completely forced. And I don't know if that's just because I'm used to Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann, being that we had three movies to develop on that. But I did feel like the relationship was a bit rushed. But apart from that, the casting was great. The characters, I loved all of them, and they did have some moments, but you know, generally speaking, I think there were definitely some areas to improve on. I don't know. What did you think?
All right, I'm a like piggyback on some of what you were saying. With Jack being a little witty, I mean, I kind of liked it, but I mean, at the same time, I kind of agree because usually Jack has like all his all his steps are all like planned out and thought forward, and yeah, in this movie, feel like they kind of gave him a little bit of more luck than kind of like cunningness. But I mean, other than that, I thought like it's basically Jack at his core, and I really like that. Um, for the climax though, I mean, I think they weren't going for more like a big wow factor. I think they're going more for the emotional side because you know that's when Karina finds out that she's actually Barbosa's daughter, and I just love I love the moment when she's explaining how she's like, "Oh, this book was from my father. You know, he
Yeah.
was such a smart man," and then Barbosa's like, "Nah, there was just a big nice ruby on it, and he thought it was worth
Yeah.
a pretty penny."
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, Barbosa, I love you.
I love how he never told her that either.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think Barbosa, like I love Barbosa. Every movie Barbosa's in, I love it.
He's
And
great.
and then in the climax, when he's basically sacrifices his life to save Jack and his daughter, I was almost shedding a tear. I couldn't see him go. You know, they killed him off once already. Like they can't kill him
Yeah.
again. So, well, I mean, technically we didn't see him die. He just saw him fall. So I mean, maybe I don't know,
Well, it
but
wouldn't
yeah,
be yeah, wouldn't be the first time they brought him back.
exactly. And so, but I mean, like, I think that's what they're going for. They're going for like the emotional climax more than the like the battle climax. But yeah, I like battle wise and WoW wise, like that whole fight sequence was pretty anticlimactic. You just had Salivar there, like he just whispering Jack Sparrow, Jack Sparrow, Jack Sparrow as he's holding the trident in hand.
Uh,
But yeah, and then you're saying about the crew. I love the crew. The crew was the best part. And when Gibbs when Gibbs realizes that they're getting followed by the British, and then goes to the other guy and says, "You know, Jack wanted you to be captain. Why don't you be captain?"
that's true.
And
That was
the
hilarious.
guy's like, "Oh yeah, yeah." Immediate next scene is getting beaten up.
Yeah,
It
no,
was
that's true.
so funny. And then and he's from the fourth movie. And
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
surprised he was there too. And then even at the beginning, when they're trying to save Jack, and he goes and drop kicks the executioner, and the
hmm
executioner just like stands tall and just looks at him.
hmm
Oh man, I
And
found the
then
crew.
Karina kicks him off the platform.
Yeah, I found the crew was so funny. I think they added so much. And even when Karina was explaining how she's a horologist, and then the guy was like, "Oh, don't worry, my mom was too."
But see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's what I meant. That was funny, but that scene went on for like 8 minutes, and in movie time for a joke, that's a bit long.
It wasn't 8 minutes. That was
It
like
was
it was
it
like a
felt long.
2 minute scene.
It felt long.
Anyway, I don't know. I was laughing the whole time, so I honestly I didn't even notice. I found the crew like the crew like the whole point of the crew is that like they're dumber than Jack. They think Jack is like top tier, you know? And I think that's why it makes him so great because whatever Jack says, they're like, "Oh, it must be right because he's done all these things." So,
Yeah, exactly. It's the great Jack Sparrow.
exactly. So I thought like the crew really kind of like really bring Jack out to like his fullest potential.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I don't want to knock the movie for its essence. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say, "Oh, Pirates of the Caribbean wasn't a good movie because it was too witty." No, anybody who's watched a previous Pirates of the Caribbean movie knows exactly what they're getting into.
Oh
Just like you
yeah.
said, it's the Jack that you remember.
Yeah,
But
if you go in here expecting like, you know, something more than it is, you're
you're
gonna be
gonna be disappointed.
disappointed. Yeah.
Yeah,
You come
but
in here thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna see the summer blockbuster. I'm seeing Pirates of the Caribbean 5." You know exactly what you're going into, you know? And if you have that mindset, like I think you're gonna love it.
absolutely. I think if you go into it knowing what you want to see and expecting the same thing you expected out of the previous four movies, you should be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
And and I did, but at the same time, I did want something more because I was so excited for this movie when I saw the first trailer. Like I'm telling you, you remember, like I sent you the trailer and everything.
Yeah.
Like I was just so excited. But I think with this movie, in some regard, I kind of feel how I felt about when we did our review on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which, if you haven't seen it, go check out our other video, our review on Guardians of the Galaxy.
Link down below.
Exactly. My problem is that everything we loved about Guardians 1, remember how it was just, they just milked it in Guardians 2? That's how I felt about this movie. It's like they took all the tropes that we came to love about the old movies and just stretched it out for as long as they can while still somehow being able to fit a plot. That's how I felt about the movie because it was like a solid, I'm gonna say 25 to 30 minutes of Jack, Karina, and Turner on the Caribbean island just running around frantically doing their wacky, wacky escapes and whatnot. Meanwhile, I'm like, when when are we going to see some conflict? And we didn't see anything remotely close to that until Salazar encounters Barbosa, and that was one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
Well, I find like the movie's more of a comedy now. Like they're going towards that comedy aspect more than they're going for like that adventure
Yeah, absolutely.
kind of
And
thing.
maybe it's my own fault for expecting something other than what I've already seen. And again, I do not want to I want to make it clear that I'm not knocking the movie for the elements that we've come to love Jack Sparrow and Pirates for. I'm just saying that it it took away from other elements of the movie because they tried to because it's been a while since well, not that long, but it's been a decent while since we had a Pirates
I think
movie.
it's been like 6 years, I think.
Yeah, it's been a while since Stranger Tides came out. So I think they tried so hard to grasp that element that they knew everyone loved and try and shoehorn it in there to the point where it's like I get it, I understand, it is funny, I'm enjoying it, but at the same time, I want to see conflict, I want to see peril, I want to see something that makes me feel like what's actually happening here matters. And a lot of the time, I didn't. It was a lot of like goose chasing to me.
All right. Well, before we say our last thoughts here, we need to talk about one last thing. The
What's
after
that?
credit scene.
Yeah,
Um, so Davy Jones,
hmm
he's back.
yeah. So I think that's a pretty clear sign that this isn't the last installment of the movie.
At the same time, though, they've had after credit scenes that had nothing to do with the next movies, but oh man, if Davy Jones comes back for Pirate Six, I am already on the hype train.
I'm pretty excited for
I
that
am because
because
he didn't. I'm trying to think back when he died. He just fell off the boat, right? Off the
yeah,
ship.
he after the heart was stabbed, he sort of like
He just fell off the ship.
clutched his chest and fell off the side of the
Yeah.
boat.
So now all curses are broken. Is he still dead? Was he even dead? Was he
Well,
just
it's hard to say because if I remember clearly, at the end of that movie, they replaced David Jones's heart with Turner's. That's why he became
yeah,
the new captain of the Dutchman.
exactly, but now all curses are broken.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Wouldn't the Flying Dutchman not be under that curse anymore because he
Yeah,
died?
that's why Will Turner's free at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know, but
I
Pirate
don't know,
Six, if
but
that
I'm pretty excited because David Jones was hands down my
oh
favorite aspect of
yeah,
those the second and third movie.
he was the saving grace basically.
Unreal, just an amazing performance, an amazing character. Just and to think that if they might make a sixth movie, that he'll come back. I think it's perfect. I'm not even upset that they're rehashing a character. Like it's exactly what I wanted. You
Yeah,
know?
I totally agree. So you got to rate this movie on 10, Chris. What would it be?
Yeah. So here's final verdict time. If you're going in for just a good time and traditional what you're used to Pirates of the Caribbean, this movie is for you. Fortunately, my expectations were a tad bit higher and they weren't met. So I'm gonna have to give this movie a 6.5 on 10.
Wow. I'm gonna give
Harsh verdict, I know.
I'm gonna give this two ratings. If you
Oh,
just if you have no idea what Pirates is and you're just going to see it, it's like a 7 on 10. That's like 6.5 on 10. Like if you it's like if you're just going for like a comedy adventure like summer blockbuster, no idea who Jack Sparrow is. Yeah, it's like a 6.5, like 7. But
seven in 3D.
if you know Pirates and you've seen the first four and you know what you're going into, this thing's like a 9.5. Like it's like a 9.
Wow.
Like I got everything I wanted from it. It was great. Like there was no point in there where I was like, this is boring. I don't know why I'm here. It was all like I was on the hype train that whole movie. Like I had the time of my life watching that. So
Well, listen,
I loved it.
listen. At the end of the day, I'm not trying to deter anyone from seeing this movie. I encourage everyone watch the video and then go watch the movie, make your own verdict, and then let us know what you think.
Yes, if you agree
You
with
know,
me, give the video a thumbs up. If you agree with Chris, just give it a dislike. Or just like
or
comment down below. Maybe don't give it a dislike, but like just let us know. Let us
subscribe to see us argue about it more.
yeah, exactly. comment down below to see who you agree with. Anyways, guys, that's your mind on for Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men Tell No Tales. We'll catch you on the next one. See you guys.
Peace.